Welcome to this first episode of Voodu Warlock. I am so happy to have a Warlock again. Now, this series is going to debut right after Gingerlocks, but it's actually been 3 weeks since the time that I finished Ginger's Warlock Lives and the time that I TR'd this toon, Voodu, into a Warlock. So I've been without some Warlockage for a few weeks. In this video, I'm going to be doing Stopping the Sahuagin. I also want to talk about what my plans are for this toon. So I'm going to be making an enlightened spirit tank, and I've chosen the Fey Pact. And really, my biggest reason for choosing Fey Pact, and that's the pact that does sonic damage, is because I really like the Misty Escape. It's got lots of other goodies too, but I just love a fast movement option. So I mentioned in the Gingerlock series that when you're making a warlock and you're choosing what pact you want, the sort of oh, I think it was probably going to be intuitive for people to want to look at the type of damage that it does and think that's the primary factor in deciding which pact you choose when you're new to Warlock. But I think that the pact damage type should be secondary to everything else that the pact has. And so if you're making a Warlock and you're new to Warlock, look at the pacts. Go to DDO Wiki, and you're going to want to look at the spells that they get and the bonuses that they get. Like, for example, the Fey Pact gets bonuses to reflex save. The Great Old One pack gets like some additional bonuses, I think, to MRR, and the other packs get bonuses to like Fortitude save or Will save. So you want to look at all that. Look at the spells they get, the other abilities they get, and the other bonuses they get, and then the last factor, I feel, is the type of damage. Sonic is really nice though. That's what the Fey Pack does, because there are so few mobs that are immune to sonic damage. Whereas, like Fiend Pact that does fire damage, there are a lot more mobs that are immune to fire. Acid is the Great Old One Pact, and that's also a really good damage type. But all Warlocks do multiple damage types, so it's not like if you choose the Fiend Pact, you're only doing fire damage. Like they're doing force damage too, and you've got other options to try to change that type of damage, like by getting like piercing. I forget what it's called. Piercing strike, penetrating blast from the tainted scholar tree. You can change that force to piercing damage, which makes it untyped. So basically, nothing is going to be immune to that. So bottom line is that don't let the type of damage that your pact is doing be the overriding factor. That I believe that should be really secondary to everything else that the pact includes. So I have chosen Drow. And if you've watched some of my videos recently, I've talked about that choice. It's not an optimal choice for for a tank. The reason is because Voodu has always been a Drow, and it just doesn't feel right to me to play her as anything else. Voodoo's a Drow, and that's it, and that's all, and it's flavor, and I like that, and that's important to me. For other people, when they're making a toon, it's utilitarian decisions. It's all about what's going to be functionally best. But that's not there's more to it for me. I like the flavor of a Drow. I like that Voodu is a Drow, and I'm also going to be going pure Warlock. That's also not going to be an optimal choice for a tank kind of a Warlock build. There are great things that you can do by by multiclassing with like Fighter or Paladin, for example. My Guilty Dread had a Warlock Paladin that was really, really powerful. But I really like the flavor of a pure Warlock, and I really want to have those high-end Warlock abilities. Now, there's some really cool things that come from the top end of Enlightened Spirit. So, for example, once you get Celestial Spirit, you start floating around and you're immune to knockdown. That's very important for a tank. And I'm hoping, I haven't tested it yet because when I did Gingerlocks, I didn't go into Epics. But I'm hoping that that's going to make me immune to even like the dragons knocking me down, which in Stand Against the Tide from Unyielding Sentinel, you're still getting knocked down from dragons and giant stomps and and some other things too, which is really frustrating. So it would be really cool if Celestial Spirit makes me totally immune to knockdown. That's very important for a tank. When you're knocked down, there's not a whole lot you can do except for shield block. So, um, I haven't decided yet what my ultimate destiny is going to be. I'm thinking Unyielding Sentinel, big surprise, but I'm already getting a lot of bonuses like 20% extra hit points from the Enlightened Spirit tree, and that comes from the I think that's from the capstone here. Yeah, 20% confidence bonus to maximum HP, and I got the knockdown immunity, and those are big things that I love from. Oh, and I also got the extra threat from brutality. So the extra threat, the bonus to HP, knockdown immunity, those are all huge from Unyielding Sentinel, so some of it's going to be redundant if I choose that. And then maybe like Shirati. We'll see what happens. But if I get the 20% from both, they will stack, so that's going to be huge hit points. All right, so I've got the enhancements open here, and so we might as well discuss that. So I picked up some PRR, picked up some bonuses to AC and hit points, and picked up some universal spell power and light spell power here. Not really a whole lot going on so far in the enhancement tree. I haven't got burst yet, so I didn't bother picking up maximize yet. I'll probably pick that up at level 3. For my level 1 feat, I chose Shield Mastery. Not a very exciting feat, but I'm going to make this toon a tank, so I do want to work all the way up through improved Shield Mastery. Things could change in the end, but this is where I'm going right now. So the idea with this series is to take everything that I learned from doing all 3 Ginger's lives of Warlock. I did all 3 packs, and I did all 3 enhancement trees. I'm going to take all of what I've learned and apply it to Voodu. Let's talk about some gear now. You can see I only have like half my gear, or half of the slots equipped. That's because at level 2, I don't really care so much because I'm at this level for such a short period of time that I just want to get a few things going on here. So let's talk about what those are. So I've got the chainmail shirt that's crafted with invulnerability. This is really awesome for any low-level toon. It gives you DR5/magic. That means monsters need magical weapons to overcome that DR at low levels. That damn near makes you invincible at these really low levels, and is helpful right up through single-digit levels. It does start to wane in usefulness as you get higher in level because mobs are starting to overcome that, but is really nice for single-digit levels. And I've just got a couple of rings with Radiance, Resonance, and Impulse spell power. I'm doing Force, Sonic, and Light damage. It's the aura that does light damage. Just got Strength 2 on the gloves. That's just so I don't have a medium load right now. I started off with really low strength, so nobody likes to run around slow. That's really what that's about. Feather falling on the boots. Got the Quiver of Alacrity, awesome item. I talked about this in the first episode of the TR Guide to the Ginger Spice Druid tank build. This has got, if you're not familiar with this item, it comes from the Abbot raid, and this is one of the most sought after items in the game for any class, for people that like to TR anyways, because when you upgrade it, it has striding 30%, and there's no minimum level, so that means at level 1 you got striding 30%. Totally awesome. Nobody likes to run around slow. And I've got a +3 crafted heavy wooden shield, and just got a flame-touched iron scimitar that I got out of the tavern there in Chronoscope. Don't forget that you do have that option of buying lots of different types of flame-touched weapons inside the Chronoscope that can be used as crafting blanks. Flame-touched iron makes it so that the weapon overcomes good DR. You just have +1 acid of bleeding on there, so doing a few different damage types. And then we've got the Elite Spider Cult Mask. This is a really cool item. This came from Menace of the Underdark. I think when you bought yeah, when you buy the pack, I don't know if you can still get it or if it just came with the pre-order, but this gives a +1 profane bonus to all skills, really cool, and then +4 profane bonus against to saves against poison. And then I have crafted Festival Fire Resistance 10 on there, and that's from the Midwinter Festival. So we're in the middle of the year right now. We won't see that Midwinter Festival coming back for quite a few months. It can be crafted onto some cosmetic armors, some cosmetic headgear, but not stuff that you make with Mirror of Glamoring. So, like cosmetic weapons and shield, can't you can't put those Midwinter recipes on those, unfortunately. What else is important? So, talking to you newer players right now, but even some players that have been playing for a while still haven't learned to carry certain potions around with them all the time. Now these are very important. I emphasize this in other videos. There are certain potions that every toon needs to have with them at all times, starting at level 1 and then at all times through endgame, unless you happen to be immune to certain things. So potions of lesser restoration, that's going to remove ability point damage. Remove blindness, so unless you're immune, like with an augment or something, you want to have potions that remove blindness. Potions of neutralize poison, potions of disease removal, and remove curse. It is not the healer's job to remove your curse or disease or poison. That is yours. So get those potions, load them up on your hotbar, because when you're poisoned or when you're cursed, you don't want to have to search around for those. You want to be able to have quick access to those and actually have all those hotkeyed. Yugo pots, I forgot to buy more when before I TR'd, but 32 is going to be plenty. I really only use these while I'm leveling, you know, like when I'm doing the DQ raid or something. You know, I don't use these all the time. Some people like to, but big bonuses to con and hit points, which are handy at all levels, but can be even more so at these low levels. I'll just drink one, and so you can see. So I have 93 hit points now. Drink one, goes up to 115. That's a nice little bonus. You want to have a way to heal yourself at low levels. Potions of Cure Serious Wounds are wonderful. So get a bunch of those. And then you want to have, you know, your pumpkin heads and your skull heads so you can harass your friends. What else do we got here? The Cursed Blade of Jack Jibbers. This comes from the Legend of Two-Toed Tobias, Epic Legend of Two-Toed Tobias. A wonderful, wonderful item. Every toon should have this. And this allows you to self-raise, and it does work in the raid. It's in a raid. It's the only item in the game that allows you to self-raise in a raid. And it raises you as a wraith for 60 seconds. That gives you plenty of time to raise some other people, or you know, maybe run to a res shrine if you're soloing or something. Awesome, awesome item. But not only should you be running that quest every day to try to get this, but that quest is also awesome XP. It's a short quest. It's pretty easy, great XP. So part of your daily XP grind, and you do that, you get lots of XP, and eventually you're going to get your Cursed Blade of Jack Jibbers. Fjarlin Mirror Pendant, so you can run around fast in public zones. Key to the City of Evening Star. That comes from PDK Favor. I only had the lesser Harper pin on this toon, didn't have the greater one. This toon's been parked for a long time. I haven't played Voodoo seriously. I'll talk more about that in a minute. Got some res cakes, got some bells of opening. I don't think there's anything else we need to talk. Oh yeah, the button of winning. I emphasize this in the Ginger Spice TR guide. Everybody must have a button of winning because it's just so cool. Now this is just a April Fool's item from a couple years ago. Alright, I think that's enough of that. So you can see I've got my aura on right now, so that means I can attack with my weapon. If you're new to Warlock, you have the option of switching between the aura or your blasts. And so you have to, you know, click a button. It's kind of like, you know, equipping a weapon set or something. And then you can start blasting, but you can't have the aura on and blast. You can you can have the aura on and burst, which is when you do the big burst damage, but I don't have that yet. But to blast like this, or aura and melee. I'm going to put my aura back on because it looks cool. Now, if you're new to Warlock, only the Warlock sees the aura. Other players don't see the aura. So for those of you who don't know Voodu, this used to be my main toon. And she was a Sorc. And I made her... I was only playing this game for maybe a month or two. And my first toon, Azalea, was a wizard. And coming into DDO, Druid was my favorite pen and paper class, but Druids weren't available yet. So I made a wizard because I like casters. And I remember being out in the Vale of Twilight, just doing Slayers, and I was in a pug, and I was grouped with this Sorc, and I saw how fast this guy was just casting PK and Finger of Death compared to how fast I could cast it. And I was like, I gotta do this. I gotta try a Sorc. So I made Voodu, and I never went back. I just loved the speed of Sorc, and back before the level cap was raised beyond 20, she was what was called a Sorchanter. And that's a sorcerer that specialized in, like crowd control. And you could very effectively build a Sorc to do that in old school epics, back when the level cap was 20 and epics were just epics. There was no epic, normal, hard, and elite. And it was challenging to build an effective Sorchanter, but it could be done. But once the level cap was raised beyond 20, that build sort of became obsolete. And I'd spent a lot of time at the time working on her past lives, and it was really discouraging to me that that build wasn't really effective anymore. So I kind of stopped playing her, and then when the Shirati proc monster build became popular, I turned her into that. And so she was basically like a first generation Shirati caster, which was just the 18 Sorc, 2 favored soul, sort of that infinite spell point build. And I had fun doing that for a couple of months, but then I just got bored of slinging magic missiles. And she's basically been parked since then. Now I will say that the Shirati Sorc caster, people are doing favored soul and paladin with that build now. So like I said, she was sort of a first generation, and I never bothered to work on her build after that. I did raid with her though, so I do have a lot of raiding gear, some of which I'll be able to use on this life, which is cool. I need to get a shard of melee alacrity, but I'm going to put that in my boots next level. So she's been parked for a long time, and it's really cool to be playing her again. She was, like I said, she was my main, and for people that have known me for like more than 3 years, a lot of people call me Voodu because this was the toon I played all the time. But for people that have gotten to know me in the last few years, since Ginger was my main, well, most of those people call me Ginger. Ginger's going to continue to be my main. She is still my pride and joy. But like I said, I'm going to have a lot of fun playing this toon. Now, one of the things I wanted to mention, just to introduce you to this toon, for those who are following the series, is that Voodu has a much more modest collection of past lives than Ginger. Like I did, when she was that Sorchanter, I just did sort of the basics for Sorc. Voodu is not a completionist. I have 3 past lives of Wizard, 3 of Sorc, and 3 of Favored Soul. And then I have 1 Barbarian because when I went to TR her when she was at cap just a few days ago, I decided to use my free plus 20 heart that was sitting in my bags for since they gave those out a couple years ago, to turn her into a Barbarian so I could get 10 extra hit points from a Barbarian past life because I didn't need any more Sorc past lives. So 3 Favored Soul, 3 Sorcerer, and 3 Wizard. As far as epic past lives, I only have one brace and one colors of the queen, just a single stack of each of those. So this is a much more modest collection of past lives than Ginger, who Ginger is basically a super toon at this point with all the past lives. She's not triple, 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 but you know, really got pretty much most of the stuff that's going to make a difference. I'm not going for triple completionist on Ginger. I'm just going for past lives that are going to be helpful. I certainly don't need things like 3 fighter lives and 3 monk lives on Ginger Spice. Although more other past lives certainly could be helpful, I'm just not really interested in knocking those out. If you never looked in here, by the way, you can see there's like a big giant troll back there. You can really just see his head. It's kind of funny. I want to fight him someday when they make Korthos epic. And that's that. Hey, thanks for watching this first episode of Voodu Warlock series. I'm going to be making a companion thread for this. That is something I did not do for Ginger Locks. I know there were several requests, but I didn't do it because, you know, so much of what I was doing with Ginger Locks was just sort of, you know, learning as I go. Warlock was brand new. I didn't know what I was doing. Just feeling things out and experimenting, and that's not really what I want to post as any kind of a guide. That series was not meant to be a guide, and this one isn't really meant to be a guide either. I just want to share what I'm doing with you, and I will post a companion thread so that you can follow along on the forums as well. Thanks again for watching. If you have any questions about this build that I'm doing, you can respond on the forums. And if you have questions about the videos, you can respond on YouTube. And if you happen to be on Saralona, you're welcome to send me a tell.